Here's Prescott. Just throws it deep as far as his arm can take him. He caught it! Micah Parsons on the move. Micah Parsons is in! Welcome to the big show, Tony Pollard. Oh, going deep. It is intercepted.
But I'm not going to say a word, but I will say one thing right now.
Prescott, touchdown. Good protection, and the pass wide open. Touchdown, Lamb.
Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. It's Space Cowboy here with another video for you guys here today. And in today's video, it's about expectations. And expectations about who? You already know what it is. It's about the Dallas Cowboys, as you probably already expected. And originally, this was going to be a standalone video, just talking about, hey, this is what we're feeling the Cowboys are at. This is what they've done. What's the vibe check for them? And, you know, what should we expect from them, right? And be real with ourselves. And just walk ourselves through why this expectation is where it's at. Funnily enough, there was an article that came out on Bleacher Report by Brad Gagnon titled, "Why the Cowboys Face More Pressure Than Any Team in the NFL Entering the 2023 Season." So, I thought it would be fun to read it, hear what this guy has to say, and then just put my little 2 cents on it and see, like, does it make sense? And I'm not trying to say, like, the Cowboys have zero, like, absolutely no pressure, and we're going to just kind of touch up on it. But I also want to mention, like, there's the media perspective of how they look at the Cowboys, and then how we as fans and also as content creators look at the Cowboys. And I get it. I'm not expecting the ultimate goal to be accomplished because, you know, there are paths that they have to go through to get there, but I think it's a fair assessment to go through why I think the Cowboys deserve to be in the conversation, though. So that's what we're here to talk about and set those expectations. So before we get fully into it, if you could hit the like button, that'd be greatly appreciated. Show support and also fight against the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe if you're new and hit that notification bell. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the article, and just as a side note, some things I'll paraphrase, the others I'll just read out loud because some of it's filler. Not in a bad way, I'm not trying to insult the guy, but, you know, some of it we don't need to read the whole thing. So, he goes off by starting off with, hey, there's often extra pressure by the Cowboys to accomplish things and win it all because they're America's team, biggest brand in sports, we get it. And then he says, okay, this year feels unique because it's hard to find another NFL team facing more pressure to deliver than the one built and fine-tuned by Jerry and company over the last decade. So if I'm being truthful with you, in terms of going into a year, the only times where I can recall the Cowboys were looked at as a legitimate, like, this team can win it all and should be a favorite to win it all in the past, you know, decade plus, was 2008, 2019, and then certain instances in the middle points of seasons, like 2018, 2016, even 2014. But the season has already played out. Like, we're talking about going into a season with expectations, not knowing with how your team's going to look on the gridiron, right? So far, I haven't heard much talked about the Cowboys because it's always been the Eagles, the 49ers, and then whoever the hell else. But we'll get to that. So the ingredients are supposed to be all there. Highly accomplished quarterback making the money in his prime. Offensive line with Zach Martin and Tyron Smith. I don't think this guy understands the situation with Tyron Smith, but that's okay. Deep receiving core highlighted by 24-year-old emerging superstar CeeDee Lamb and veteran Brandon Cooks. It can be deep. It's just a lot of question marks on the guys in the, you know, the 4th rank, and 5th rank type of guys. And a defense that ranked number 2 in the NFL and DVOA at Football Insiders, thanks to Pro Bowl campaigns from Micah Parsons, Trevon Diggs, DeMarcus Lawrence, key contributors. And that defense definitely took it up a notch. So overall, despite the fact that quarterback missed 5 games due to injury, All right, with Cooks, accomplished cornerback Stephon Gilmore, first-round defensive tackle Mozzie Smith. This year's team should be as good, if not better, which I agree with. That is the expectation. We'll talk about that more so, especially if Prescott can get back on track. And yet it's hard to, to buy in considering that the franchise hasn't made a conference title game, let alone the Super Bowl in 27 years. Now, with that point, the problem is the Cowboys haven't been a consistent playoff team in the 27 years that we're talking about until, recently. We had the spurt in the middle 2000s from 2006, 2007, 2009. Of course, you had the 2010s too, but a lot of the times you need to have consistent exposure to the postseason, right? Some teams get, lucky. Some teams do very well, like we saw with Philadelphia last year, and I'm not taking away anything that they did there, but I'm just saying, there are matchups that you get that suck. And by the way, I put a tweet out there, the last 7 matchups that the Cowboys have had in the divisional round that they've lost, you have the Panthers game in 1996 on the road, right? Then in 2007 at home, 2009 on the road, 2014 on the road, 2016 at home, 2018 on the road, 2022 on the road. You see the theme here? They've not had a significant amount of home games where typically the Cowboys play very well, especially with Dak Prescott at the quarterback. And, that's just how it is. And unfortunately, that's a problem. When you're going on the road, it's not easy to win on the road, and especially in the postseason. So the Cowboys have only had 2 home, playoff games, which arguably they've been the closest they've been to getting to the conference championship game. 2007, they were literally 20 yards away. If not for Patrick Creighton slowing down on his route, they probably would have won it. And then we all know what happened in 2016. Okay, they were down. Now, again, I'm not saying these teams would have gone on to win the Super Bowl. But that's besides the point. My thing is that there's reasons, and that's not excuses, but it goes to show you that's the problem. So during that span, Cowboys have won just 5 total playoff games on the wild card. Yeah, we get it. Changing that probably starts with Prescott, who threw a league-high 15 interceptions. Yeah, he can't throw as many interceptions. And, of course, he's missed time. Understandable. And when the 29-year-old, Jesus, he's going to be 30. When the 30-year-old quarterback is healthy and at his best, he's a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. But that often hasn't been the case since he's landed the four-year, $160 million. What makes me laugh about that is when he signed the contract, the Cowboys have gone 12-4 or 12-5. In the past 2 seasons. So they've been to the postseason back-to-back seasons since he signed the contract, which is what we're asking for. Of course, we're asking for more than that. Again, we'll get to that. But we got to realize, new head coach here, new system, rebuilding the defense, that's taking some time, and maybe we're getting to the fruition coming to be. Prescott's receivers hurt him more than helped him in regards to 2022. But we're talking about a dude who has never been a first or second team All-Pro. Okay, no one cares about the Pro Bowl crap. I don't care about the accolades, just saying what it is. I mean, of course, if you play well, you get the accolades. But, again, there's certain things to that. And the reality is 2024 might be too late for Prescott. Okay, Lamb isn't going anywhere, but it'll be more expensive. Okay, 32-year-old Martin's salary is set to go up. Okay, so we're talking about guys that are getting older, going to cost money. Cooks, yeah. I'm skimming through it. It's easy to see how different the Dallas offense could be in a year. Again, I understand how people are looking at it, and we're getting towards the tail end of this article. And then they're just talking about how, they added some guys, and hey, this is the matchups the Cowboys have and all this other stuff. And now we get to the final part, the teams that are in their way. So I understand that there's a lot of moving parts around here. Right. Okay, so here's how the Cowboys look. And so before I get into the teams, here's how I view it. I went through the entire list of, position groups, names, everything. You can go check out that series on the position evaluation series if you haven't done so already. And I've come to the conclusion the offense on paper should be better. You're getting a new philosophy in there. You are getting new receivers. Your offensive line is relatively intact. Defensively, you have gotten better on paper. So the 2023 Cowboys are a better roster on paper than the 2022 Cowboys. But on paper, of course, is semantics when we want to see actual results. So now that we know how we feel this team has done in the offseason, they got Stephon Gilmore. They added pieces to make the all-in push in 2023. There, as we talked about, there's contracts coming down the pipeline. So I have gone on record and I've said 2023 is probably going to be the closest chance this team has gotten to winning it all. And that's not delusion. That's not being crazy. It's just, you have to look at it for what it is. This team made the divisional round of the NFC playoffs with the offense they had and the defense doing their thing. And realistically, they were a Tony Pollard injury away, maybe an extra pass catcher away, and certain things that happened with the 49ers away. So you can argue 3 things or all 3 from getting there. Like, it's a lot. It was a lot closer than people think. Like, just calling it what it is. Again, that's not being delusional. You know, we could talk about what happened after. I don't care. Right now, I think the expectation is this Cowboys team, they need to make it to the NFC Championship game. That is literally the expectation for this team. The reason I say that is because we've seen this team improve every single year. 6-10, missed playoffs. 12-5, lost in the wild card. 12-5, again, won a wild card game and lost in the divisional round. They're getting better. And so the question now is they have the roster. These players that are younger are, starting to come into their own. Who's in their way? So the guy goes on to say, like the Jets, the Broncos also don't have as high expectations as Dallas, which I disagree because I think that the Jets went after Aaron Rodgers. You're making a gamble there. You need to find a way to win. The Jets have they are on the clock. The Broncos are definitely on the clock because of who they traded for. And I'm not saying the Cowboys are absolved of any pressure. They do have pressure. They absolutely do. In the grand scheme of they literally have this year before other dudes' contracts come up. And also the NFC is weak. Just calling it how I see it. And others are talking up Philly. Okay. The 49ers, and then you get to the Cowboys, and you're like, okay, here are the Cowboys, but can they do this, can they do that? And they just talk about the Cowboys. So only 5 teams have better championship odds than the Dallas Cowboys. The Kansas City Chiefs, you have the Philadelphia Eagles, the Buffalo Bills, the 49ers, the Bengals, and then you hit the Cowboys. So the Cowboys have the 3rd highest odds in the NFC, right behind, and then behind them is the Lions. So the Cowboys have an interesting road set in front of them. You only have 2 teams you have to get past. It's easier said than done, right? And so this is where the expectation. We know the Eagles are in a situation where historically there is a Super Bowl hangover. There is. And history can change. We've seen crazy shit happen. But I have to go off of what history is. And history says that there's not going to be a repeat NFC East champion. Not saying it'll never happen again. It's bound to happen. But right now we haven't seen it. And, even if they do win the NFC East again, the Cowboys could be matched up with an AFC South opponent again, or an NFC South opponent again. They beat that opponent. Then you had to beat either Philly or whoever's in front or, second seeded or whatever the case may be. And that's it, really, and you're in the NFC Championship game. Now, we also have to talk about positive implications. I don't want to be super negative because there could be things that happen. What if the Cowboys, let's say the Eagles have their slump and they make it back to the postseason, but they're not a juggernaut, or they barely miss the post. They're got to be in there, right? Let's say the 49ers, right? Let's say the 49ers, they slump off because they don't have a quarterback or the quarterback situation is bad for them. Who else is there to attack the Cowboys? What, the Lions? The Seahawks, I mean, there really isn't a lot in the way. You have to understand, if they were to get the number 1 seed, which I don't think they will, maybe I'm wrong. If the Cowboys get the number 1 seed in the NFC, you realistically, and not even realistic, you just have to beat one opponent. One opponent. And if it's, a situation where you get the Seahawks, the Vikings, the Saints, you have a golden opportunity in front of you to just beat them, and you're in the end. You just got to beat one team in front of you. If you get the number 2 seed, you had to beat the last wild card team. You get a home divisional round game, and you move. The Cowboys have a path for them to get to the NFC Championship game. It's there. Do they get there? We'll see. But that's the expectation. You have to make it there. I'm a big proponent of not having excuses. And the Cowboys have changed signal callers. They've added a couple weapons here and there. They've drafted a couple guys, and realistically, they have a better team than last year. Now, the record, whatever. The record's cool and all. If the Cowboys have a 12-5 season again, that would be cool. If they go 13-4, I don't give a shit anymore. They need to make a run to the NFC Championship game. But just because you get there doesn't mean that's all we're going to be satisfied with. We know how this works, guys. Listen, I'm not a fan of settling for 3rd or 4th place. Right? And if we're being real, if the Cowboys were to get to the NFC Championship game and lose, we're just going to shift the dynamic. Well, the Cowboys haven't been to a Super Bowl in 27 years. What are we going to be now? Like, oh, well, at least, hey, the Cowboys, they made it to an NFC Championship. Because people forget the Saints were in an NFC Championship game back in 2018. We also forget about the fact that, it's been a while since the Bills have been there. Surprised there's no flag there, right? There's a ton of, the Jaguars, they haven't been there in a while. I'm not saying these teams can't go back, but a lot of the times, you don't know until you get the path given in front of you. Cowboys have a golden opportunity, and I don't want to drag it on other than that. So, that's the goal. Get to the NFC Championship game. Everything else after that, that's up to you. And that's your opportunity to snatch. If the Cowboys manage to make it, hypothetically, to Las Vegas, and most likely they'll play the Chiefs again, they'll play the Chiefs. We'll see how they do if that happens. But again, it's a tough thing because I've been snake bitten by this team several times over. I'm cautiously optimistic with this team, but Mike McCarthy has done a great job of building a winning program, and that's what it is. It's a winning program, and I don't think that anything else matters at this point other than your record. Cool, whatever. You need to have results in the postseason, and that's the team, right? I don't want to see a situation where the defense lets down the offense or vice versa anymore. Get shit done. Point blank period. And that's where I'll end it there. Tell me what you guys think down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a good one, guys. Goodbye.